Hey, good morning, everybody. Welcome back to the LWN Network. I am Tammy Nation, your host of Headline Hits today, Monday through Thursday. Actually, we do it noon Eastern Standard Time. Hello and welcome to all of you that are already here in chat. I sure do appreciate you, and those watching on Rumble and X as well. It's good to have you all here. This is the last one of the week, and boy, it has been a huge, busy week for sure in the news, and it doesn't stop today. Towards the end, I have some interesting stories, science related to tell you guys about and give you some information in a website that you guys can go check some stuff out for yourself as well this weekend, instead of just all the politics and what's going on in the world all the time that way. I thought it was pretty cool, some things that I found in a girl that I've been following as far as science and what they're doing, developing technology and different things that are kind of crazy, actually, but I thought they were interesting and worth value for you guys to hear about and find out about. Also, if you didn't have a chance to check out the president's cabinet meeting yesterday, that is a good one. I suggest you check it out. It really is neat to feel like you're sitting at their table, watching all his cabinet members speak and what they have to say. And you're like right there in the room with them. Elon did speak. It is May 1st, and Elon said in May that he was going to step away or step down and not spend as much time with Doge because most of it has been done already. But he said he will stay on as long as the president wants him to stay on, heading up Doge. But he also said most of it has already been put in place. But he said more than likely Doge will have to stay in effect through President Trump's 4-year term, because if people have a chance to go back to doing what they were doing and the corruption and all that, that it would sneak its way back in. So I don't think he's completely hands off. He's just stepping back for a little bit. As far as doing it every day, each and every day. So with that being said, I am going to play this little clip and I will be right back with the headline hits. Once again, if you haven't already, please like and share the channel for me, and I will see you in a second. First up, we have today, there has been some progress made with Ukraine, as Ukraine and the United States have signed the final agreement deal for rare earth minerals and natural resources. The deal is going to grant the U.S. privileged access to new investment projects to develop Ukraine's natural resources that include aluminum, graphite, oil, and natural gas. So that's some good news. We know that President Trump has been wanting access to that, and they did sign the agreement on that. Next up, we have in a presser, White House Deputy Chief of Staff Stephen Miller had this to say to the press. It is true that many of the people in this room for 4 years failed to cover the fact that Joe Biden was mentally incompetent and was not running the country. It is also true that many people in this room who have used the talking point that Elon is not elected failed to understand how government works. So I'm giving you an opportunity, a civic lesson for you to listen and understand. A president is elected by the whole American people. He's the only official in the entire government that is elected by the entire nation, right? Well, judges are appointed, members of Congress are elected at the district or state level, which is one man and the Constitution. Article 2 has a clause known as the vesting clause, and it says the executive power shall be vested in a president, singular. The whole will of democracy is imbued to the elected president. That president then appoints staff to then impose that democratic will onto the government, the threat to democracy. Indeed, the existential threat to democracy is the unelected bureaucracy of lifetime tenured civil servants who believe they had answers to no one. They had answer to no one. They believe they can do whatever they want without consequences, and who also believe they can set their own agenda no matter what we Americans vote for. Americans vote for radical FBI reform, and FBI agents say they don't want to change. Or Americans vote for radical reform in our energy policies that EPA bureaucrats say they don't want to change. Or Americans vote to end DEI. Racist DEI policies and lawyers, the Department of Justice say they don't want to change. President Trump is doing exactly what he is doing to remove federal bureaucrats who are defying democracy by failing to implement his lawful orders, which are the will of the whole American people. So I thought that was a wonderful thing for Stephen Miller to come out in the press. He is really on top of things. He explains things, and he's no holds barred. And I think that was a wonderful statement that he did, with all this going back and forth with people not wanting to follow President Trump's orders and trying to block him with doing so many things that, yes, guess what? We, the American people, voted for him to do. I voted for what he is doing. Up next, we have a bombshell was dropped by RFK Jr. during that cabinet meeting yesterday. That's why I said it's probably a good idea that if you guys haven't seen the cabinet meeting, do so. There was a lot of information that came out about it, but to highlight what he said, RFK Jr. is actively, aggressively trying to find the lost, sold, and bartered illegal immigrant children from the Biden administration days. They were smuggled across the border and released to the sponsors that were not vetted. RFK Jr. came out and said, HHS, the United States Department of Health and Human Services under the Biden administration, were a collaborator in child trafficking, and that he has ended this, and now they are aggressively trying to find these 300,000 children that were lost in the system by the Biden administration. He said these children were recruited for sex trafficking and slavery. This is horrific that the HHS main purpose is to protect the health of all Americans and provide essential human services. And he says they have done the complete opposite under the Biden administration. He said it was their job to get these children to safety in homes with vetted sponsors. Child Protective Services has also been accused of shady going on with these children, as we have heard. But if you didn't know, CPS is under the umbrella arm of the HHS as a whole. So your state, local CPS is under the local HHS. So basically, they all tie together on a local to state level as well. So it remains to be seen if CPS will be or already is being investigated as well as an arm of all of this. RFK stated that they have found over $68 million in wasteful spending in HHS. They were able to recoup this money for his programs, but we have to see where exactly the recouped money will go, as nothing was mentioned in the meeting. So that's very disheartening and very troubling and disturbing that HHS and CPS were doing this and have lost these children, because these children were put into sponsor homes that were not vetted. So they have no idea where some of these children are. So thank the Lord that RFK Jr. is putting his efforts into finding these children. Next up, we have Congressman Sri Thanadur of Michigan. He is the man leading the efforts to impeach President Trump. He actually owned an animal testing lab in 2010 where more than 170 beagles and monkeys were left behind after his company filed for bankruptcy, and the animals previously used for laboratory experiments were abandoned and locked inside the facility without food, water, or even care. Their survival depended on the bravery of former lab workers who actually broke into the building to provide food and water, along with the rescue groups who found home sanctuaries for the animals despite the abandonment. Thanadur portrayed himself as an animal lover and shifted blame onto the bank that foreclosed on his property. So he sounds like a nice guy, doesn't he? This is the guy that is wanting to impeach President Trump. So this is a little bit of his history. And like I always say, we always have to go back and find out who people are, who their action or what their actions are, and what they have done in their past, so we can know who they are now and see if they've changed or if they just talk and don't walk the walk that they talk. So that is the guy that you have that is heading the lead to impeach President Donald Trump again, should Congress get the Democrats get Congress and take it over again when it comes to the midterms. That's why I keep saying midterms in 2 years are very, very important. This fight has only begun. The Dems, we can see each and every day, are doing things that are against the will of the American people, and they want to keep their plans in place, their processes in place, and their laws in place, their legislation in place. It's bad news. So speaking of that, Chuck Schumer, struck again because Chuck announced on the Senate floor yesterday that the SAVE Act, which requires proof of citizenship to register to vote nationwide, is done. He said it won't go to President Trump's desk. It is DOA, which means dead on arrival. He said it needs 60 votes. Schumer turned around and looked at the Republicans on the Senate floor and gloated as he said this. The SAVE Act will restore Jim Crow. He said, let me be clear. I will not let the SAVE Act become law. Every Senate Democrat, every single one of us is united against this. They need 60 votes. So Schumer talked about the importance of preserving free and fair elections in light of the dangerous Republican-backed SAVE Act, he said, which would undermine American democracy. Unfortunately, no administration, he stated, has come closer to destroying the wellspring than the Trump administration. Donald Trump and Republicans are putting our elections in a vice grip, executive orders from the president on one end and dangerous legislation from Congress on the other. They don't understand the sacredness of elections and keeping them. Schumer went on to say that the SAVE Act reads more like a how-to guide for voter suppression rather than a serious attempt to secure our elections. It's about making it harder to vote and easier to cheat. It's despicable, he said. It's damaging and it goes against the foundation of our democracy. Democrats will never, never allow this SAVE Act to become law. Once again, as a reminder, the SAVE Act is actually a simple act that requires proof of citizenship to register to vote nationwide. It's very important people show who they are before they vote in our elections. It's not a hit on our democracy, as Chuck is screaming. And if you care to, you can actually go to the Senate Democrats and look at his complete statement and complete verbal garbage on this issue from his point of view on the Senate floor. With his way of thinking, maybe we shouldn't show ID for anything in this country. So it was very laughable, the things he said. And then another great move that Chuck introduced was legislation to ban assault weapons yesterday. He says it is common sense and it will save lives and it's long overdue. So some comments so far from people across the internet and on his actual page. It says assault is an action, not a noun. Treat the person, not the tool. The party that loves criminals hates guns. Assault weapons, as you call them, do not kill people. People kill people. There is no such thing as an assault weapon. How about banning the sale of these weapons to others, to foreign countries and governments to stop the wars? Why not put a ban to them? Why are we supplying foreign countries with assault weapons? A ban that only criminals will have them. So some think that if we put a ban on that, then only criminals are the ones that are going to have them. Because do you really think criminals are going to give up any of their guns, no matter what you want to name them? And then somebody said, what exactly is an assault rifle? So a lot of stuff coming out of Chuck Schumer yesterday. Not good stuff, in my opinion. Next up, we have another child predator operation produced 19 arrests led by Georgia officials and multiple law enforcement agencies, including the Georgia Internet Crimes Against Children Task Force. It was called Operation Lights Out, and the sting was to identify people who engage in sexually explicit communication with children on the internet, trying to have sex with a child and then traveling to meet that child for sex. The 19 people arrested came from Atlanta, Alabama, and other parts of Georgia, Ontario, Canada, and even Illinois. The GBI said more charges and arrests may be forthcoming of law enforcement agencies, including local, state, and federal agencies who were a part of the operation. Without authorities, they want to make a plea to parents to closely monitor their children to ensure they are not communicating with these individuals online. These authorities are stating that these predators are traveling near and far, and there is no limit to how far they will travel to victimize your children. They said we take these crimes against children very seriously, and it will be our focus to find these predators. And he said then they may be prosecuted to the full extent of the law. So every day this week, we've had an instance of these different rings that have been broken up. This is how bad this is out there, along with the HHS, with the child sex trafficking. You stop and think that's 300,000 children are missing. Where are they? Next up, after returning from several meetings at the Trump DOJ, Viceroy Mike Davis appeared on Steve Bannon's show War Room, and he wants us all to know something. He said, justice is definitely coming. Let me assure you, justice is coming, and there's going to be accountability for this unprecedented Republican-ending lawfare. Where the Biden Justice Department was politicized and weaponized, there is going to be accountability for a lot of these crimes. It takes time. Kash Patel is there, and he's doing a hell of a good job. So is Dan Bongino, his deputy. Justice is coming. Just because we don't see it publicly does not mean it's not happening. He said his very self that he knows that it is indeed happening. And then last up for today, this is the little weekend studies for you, investigating it if you wish, where the future is here with brainioids and skin that smiles. And you heard me right. It is not a horror movie. It is true. Japanese researchers have created lab-grown human skin that can stretch, self-heal, and even smile when applied to robots. The tech holds real promise for robotics, reconstructive surgery, and cosmetic research. And if you see this, it is actually very creepy and it is disturbing. But when it comes to helping people, I get that. Why they want to put it over robots, I have no idea. That is creepy in itself. But this human-grown skin can self-heal itself and smile, and that is crazy. What you can do is you can head to interestingengineering.com and find out all the details on this and other things. They have a great website that shows you all the different aspects of what has been engineered, what's being created, what's being done in the science field. Once again, it's called interestingengineering.com. And then we have researchers have developed brain organoids, and they are grown from human skin or blood cells, and they reprogram them to become induced to pluripotent stem cells, which can differentiate into any cell type in the body. Now, these brain organoids on their own have developed eyes, believe it or not. And they're just little round black eyes. I've seen them. They aren't functional, but they've developed these on their own. They've also been hooked up to computers where they work faster than a human doing what needs to be done. The problem with them is they only last for a short period of time before they quit working or die out. And there is a lot more to these developments, which you can find on YouTube. There's a girl that I found and I watch. Her name is Gabrielle Torch. It's Gabrielle Torch, Torch. She's a scientist, and she covers also a vast array of developments in the science world. She's very interesting, and the good thing about her is she puts articles and studies and links to everything that she shows you and talks about, supplying plenty of information for you to see on all the topics, because a lot of this stuff sounds insane and crazy. To be able to take human tissue and develop brain organoids, or the skin that smiles and stretches and heals itself, sounds totally insane. But like I said, when we're so busy following the main things going on in the world that affect our lives each and every day, sometimes we don't search that part as well, like the science and the development and the technology, till it's already there. But if you want to look at some interesting things this weekend, go to her page and try the engineering.com page, because some of that stuff just blew my mind. And I've been following both of them for a while, but I thought this is a great weekend. Why not get out of politics for a little bit and investigate what's going on in the science world? So that's what I have for you guys this week. This is the last headline hits for the week. I will return on Monday. It is a very hot yet sunshiny, beautiful day here in my great state of Georgia. I hope it's nice where you are at, and you guys can really take some time out and enjoy the weekend. I wish that for each and everybody, each and every weekend, because we all work so hard and there's so many stresses in the world. And, you know, we have to pray it away as well. We have to, you know, be focused on our faith. But sometimes we just need to just check out, recharge, energize. And the weekend is a wonderful time to do that, spend time with family, have a nice meal together, go on a picnic, a walk, all that good stuff, and kind of just shake off the craziness of this world that we're in. So that's what I have. Thanks you guys so much for joining me. I'm pretty sure we're going to have our MTV show on Rumble. It is the LWN MTV channel. Like I said, the mods drop the links in the chat for you guys all the time, or you can even go to my Facebook page, Tammy Nation, and I have links there and on the different shows there. LW's Facebook page isn't up if you haven't heard. We're still waiting to get approval on our new page we're going to put up, but we should have that at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It's on Rumble only. It's always a good time to kick back, enjoy each other's company, and watch some videos and look back at all the songs that meant something in our lives. There's a special memory or impact that each and every song that our great DJ plays that, boy, we reminisce and it's a good time. So that's what I have. Like I said, I'm going to get out of here. Take care. God bless. I will see you guys on Monday. Thanks for joining me.